What if I told you all your favorite drummers were actually thieves?
Tune Rosanna, the Toto Cut. I stole that beat from listening to two records. Home at Last, Bernard Purdie, Steely Dan records. Another is the John Bonham on A Fool in the Rain, as Led Zeppelin tune.
I suppose it's because I've stolen all my licks from different sources.
I pulled so much stuff from the Gap Band and Cameo and Tony Thompson. It's old disco.
Plot twist. What if I could show you how you could be a thief as well, but just the good kind, the artistic kind? I'm packing up the drums right now for a leg of a tour where I'm about to leave on tonight, go out west, California, Idaho, Nevada, lots of those areas for the next 16 days. But I had a really great call with my students. Every week I do a call with my online students in my drum school, and we were talking about, and I was teaching, it was a practical applications call where I talk about a smaller topic that has really big implications and applications for other areas of your playing. And for this particular one, I was talking about critical listening, dissecting other drummers while you're listening to them, but taking some of the low-hanging fruit that you can take and play around with in your practice time. There's a great book called Steal Like an Artist, and that's what this is, an advertisement for that. It's just a great book. And this lesson was about that. It was about taking and stealing from some of your drumming heroes and then using that in your own playing.
I stole that beat.
I've stolen all my licks.
I pulled so much stuff.
All right, I hope you enjoy the lesson. I had a blast with my students, and I'm gonna try to make sense of that mess over there and put it on a bus. In this lesson, I'm gonna show you 3 specific drum licks that I stole from these drummers. And the other day I was reminded of a way that I critical listen that I don't know if I ever formally thought it out, but it's really been useful for me. So we're doing a video on Vinnie Colaiuta, and anybody that's watched Vinnie play, it's actually been a really hard video for us to do because in my heart, I think I'm harboring like anger at Vinnie because he's so great. And he'll play, and both Grant and I were both sitting there going, God, you know, and we've watched the thing, we've had to edit it, right? So we've watched it like 20 times. I'm still sitting there going, this guy here, what a jerk. Look at him just do those awesome things. If you've never listened to Vinnie, go listen to Vinnie. But one of the things that he did, it happened so quick, and I was like, whoa, now that was slick and really useful. And that is a way that I have done critical listening for a long time. So instead of trying to listen to find the most difficult thing I could mine out of what the player was doing, I take the low-hanging fruit. And a lot of times by doing that, I actually find a pretty big part of a person's style. And I'm going to give you several examples of this, starting with Vinnie. And by itself, it really doesn't sound that cool. But when you put it with some other stuff, it can really start to sound fun. And it's very, very simple. Watch this. It's double strokes. Right, right, left, left. That's it. Super hard, right? But it's how he used it. And he did this. He glanced off his right cymbal to the floor tom and doubles here. Super quick. And I was like, that's one of the hippest things I've ever heard in my life. And it's probably the placement that he used it. So that's one of the magical things with this is you mess with it until you find the placement. I got to talk to the founder of Aquarian Drumheads years ago, old school player, and he called to compliment my snare tone. Far be it from me to be complimented by him. He was the kindest guy, and he said, you know, we used to just get one thing back in my day, and we just work it to death. We'd work it until we couldn't work it anymore, and then we'd move on to the next little thing. He said, once we squeeze the life out of that one. And so this would be an example of what he was talking about. Very simple. Right on the ride cymbal, right on the floor tom, left, left. It's like such a simple lick that he played. And I haven't, that's the thing, like I'm playing it and I'm like, oh, it's not as cool as when Vinnie did it. It's not, because I haven't had the time to work with it, right? And that's one of the beautiful things is finding something that's so simple like that, and then spending some time with it. So if I found something like that, and I'm going to give you several examples, and they're all going to be equally as simple. And then I'm going to start putting them together and weaving them into kind of a solo-ish type of a thing. So you can see how you can take several very small ideas and you can make them into something, you know, we always try to get these big complicated things, and you just don't have to. You can just get very simple things. Kind of like the English language is made up, you know, any language, it's made up of very simple words most of the time. So let's take this. So I would first make sure I could work out the physical layout of it, right? If I wanted to do it here, it'd just be. And even while I'm doing that, I'm thinking, oh, it'd also be cool as a triplet, like as right, left. So I would start to kind of mess with things, go, oh, that's kind of cool. What happens if I did what I said, right, left, and then put another right, left here? That kind of starts sounding fun to me. Another thing I might do is put space there. So let's play with the white space. Okay, we could take it to sextuplets. Okay, so this is kind of the act of, and if you're like, I'm a beginner, I've never played the drums, what's he doing, right? Well, it's a really cool concept. It's like, you know, I use this story all the time. I remember the book, I have it, and I have written 40 BPM in eighth notes. And it was really hard for me to do. And it was this. And I finally got it to where I was stumbling through. Like doing that over and over. And my teacher freaked out. He's like, man, now you can do this. I was like, no, I can't. I can do this. Right? But what he was seeing was he's like, now you have the basics now. That's the idea. Now the rest comes pretty quick, right? When you start working it around. But the key is just to take a very small something and just play with it. Like when you were a kid and you played with Legos. That was fun. That was a whole lot of fun, right? Or when, you know, I don't know, you played with sticks. You're just like, went out the other day and my kid was just like throwing sticks, or, you know, he's made it into a sword, or they took some small object and they're just playing with it. Okay, so that's one thing. And that was a real quick, I saw it in the video, and then I came in here and we had to record something for a YouTube video that'll go out in a couple weeks. And I was sitting in here messing around, and Grant was laughing, pointing at me in there. That's our community manager, because he had heard it too, and he's like, "You're doing that Vinnie thing, huh?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing the Vinnie thing, but I'm doing a thing that I think I maybe heard him do, some really bad mimicking of that." Okay, so let's look at something else that's equally as simple. Bottom triplets. Bottom triplets, you can play them one of 4 different ways. Right, left, kick. Left, right, kick. Kick, right, left. Or kick, left, right. Okay. My favorite way is right, left, kick. It's a very simple pattern. John Bonham built a career off this. Steve Gadd uses this all the time too. So I would mess with it again. Probably just keep it in one place. It got sloppy there, right? And it starts sounding almost like a roll, which is how Bonham played it. And start to move it around the drum set. Okay, so right now we have just these two very simple things. And this. It's just two little things that I got. I stole them. There's a great book. It's called Great Artists Steal, All Artists Steal. Something about artists and stealing. And it's just talking about this is the way that art is made. We see something somebody else did. It inspires us. We mess around with it until we make it our own. And we can do this no matter how advanced a player we are or how beginner we are. Okay. The other one was just really, I forget. It was this Mark Guiliana video. And I forget what it was. I don't remember what it was. But it's like right around the time he had first came out, and I really didn't understand his playing or know what he did or his style or anything. And Steal Like an Artist. Thank you, David. That's the one. Exactly. You stole my thunder, Dave. You see what I did there? That one was good. That one was good. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to, in the video, I was seeing him play the kick drum with his notes on the snare drum. Then this seems like you're like, okay, that's not neat at all. But the way he was doing it was pretty cool. So. And you notice like my kick, I had to, so I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to work on that. So I'm sitting there just like trying to hit unisons. It's really hard. It's harder than you would think to hit unisons without flamming. And it got kind of fun. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if I could do all three limbs, And that's kind of fun, but what happens if, this thing I was doing in my right hand, slowly as I started to play with it, what happens if I filled in the notes with my left hand? So I had this. That gets kind of fun for me anyway, as I'm geeking out. And it took me a while to get there, but it all came from seeing him do it. And he had like this, like Morse code type of a thing that was, it wasn't that pitch. It was better than that, but it was this Morse code type of thing that he was playing with that was a set pattern. And then once I played with that a while, I'd be like, oh, cool. Well, what if I move that to my ride cymbal? You can see I'm kind of thinking through it as I do it. And then we could add the left hand back in there. And then we could add in the left hand. And it gets sloppy and then it comes back, right? But I literally started with that going, okay, well, let me do 8 notes together, and then maybe the offbeats, the E's and the U's. And a 4 and a 1. So there's another example of a very simple idea. The idea is play unisons with the kick and the right hand. That's such a simple idea. Bottom triplets, play here. The Vinnie idea. Now what you want to do is you want to say, okay, those are my parameters. These are the only toys that I have to play with. Now I got to do something with it. And let's see what happens, okay? Luckily, I haven't planned any of this out, so I may fall flat on my face. Let's see what happens here. I broke the rule. I played a bunch of singles there, and I'm not supposed to do that, okay? So then I'd say, I'll go back to the rules, all right? So you can see, I'll find a phrase, kind of like it, I'll go back to it. So what we do is we start messing around with these things. And I suggest you mess around with them at slow tempo first, before you speed them up. Obviously, these are ideas that kind of I've already messed around with. But if I had just started, it'd be like... Very slow, very methodical, very melodical. You get that? Methodical, melodical. I didn't plan it, but it was all right. So that's one way that I have critical listen over the year. I remember going to a Stanton Moore gig, and there was this sticking that I kept finding popping up all through his playing. It was like this right, left, left type of a sticking. Very simple, but he used it everywhere and got just so much use out of that very, very simple sticking. Steve Gadd's the same way with like the Mozambique pattern. He's gotten so much use out of that over the years. So we can go to these different players, and there's like some really easy fruit on top that we can just pick off real quick. And so the challenge for you is, and if you have any questions, please put those in. We do have a couple submitted questions. We'll get to those. The challenge for you today, tomorrow, is to go listen to a recording that you like. It can be a video, whatever it is. And don't try to listen too hard. Just pick the one thing that sticks out to you. Just grab that one little thing that sticks out to you instead of trying to grab the most complex thing. Grab the easiest thing. and go, that's a cool little sticking. Let me see if I can do that. And then take it back to the drum set or to the practice pad and just mess around with it. And that is how you're going to begin to find your voice and learn a lot of other people's voices as well.